And so to start our name design, let's take a look at the sample that I have here. Notice some different things about it. What are some things that you notice? Right, I have upper and lowercase letters. Here and here my E's are lowercase. Why do I have them like that? So I can fit more letters in and squish them together, right? So the E's fit kind of nice underneath the P and the Y. Notice the lines. What do we notice about the lines? Are they over or through the middle of the page? No. They are going to be close to the top and close to the bottom. We have wavy lines. So when we look at this, if you were describing it to somebody, you'd say draw a line along the top of your paper that's curved. The name's going to go in the middle, right? That line goes on the top, and then a wavy line along the bottom of your paper. If you just said draw a curved line on the top and the bottom, that can mean anywhere on your paper, right? And so when we look at the letters, we notice that they fit in between those two lines. They go all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. Now, as far as the name, you can do your first name, you can do your last name, you could do your initials, but you need to try to figure out a way to fit it in, okay? So your letters do have to touch the top of that line and the bottom of that line, and they do have to fit in between the lines. Okay, so let's get started. First, we're going to start with a pencil, and we're going to start by drawing our lines, and we're going to go very lightly with our pencil. Now, we're not going to draw block letters. We're just going to draw our letters, and I'm going to show you how we're going to make them thicker later. So I'm going to draw my curvy line on the top and my curvy line on the bottom. Now, your letters need to touch that line on top and the line on the bottom. I'm going to draw this very similar to the way my other one was, so I'm going to make the lowercase e that's hiding kind of below the P, make my large ends that go all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom line. I'm gonna draw the Y first actually, so I can tuck the second lowercase e kind of underneath and in between. Now notice I did not draw block letters. I'm gonna show you, we're gonna be using a special type of Sharpie called a chisel tip. Here it is. And the chisel tip Sharpie, you'll notice, has a flat edge. That flat edge is what touches the paper, not the pointy part, not the tip. The flat edge is what you touch to the paper, and that makes a really thick line. So once you've planned out your letters, you're going to start by tracing over those light pencil lines with the flat part of that chisel tip, and then you can just kind of go along the edge of the first line you drew, and if they don't go side by side, you can use that flat edge to just smooth it out and color it in. And it makes really easy or light work of it. It's very easy to make the lines and your letters thicker if you're using that flat edge of the chisel tip Sharpie, because it does make a thick line. And you're gonna just take your time. I'm doing this relatively quickly, but you're gonna take your time and do this very slowly so you have a clean and crisp lines and letters. So you're going to do the same thing with your letters. You'll first trace them. Just to kind of jump ahead a little bit, we want to divide the spaces between the letters, which is why we're going all the way to the top and the bottom into lots of different sections, because we're going to be filling each individual section later with color and patterns. So that is why I'm telling you to go all the way to the top and the bottom. So you can see I'm going to start my E. I just start by tracing it. And I gently, with my chisel tip Sharpie, go over it some more until I have it as blocky and thick as I want my letter. There's no need to try to draw it in block letters or in thick letters, because you can literally just use the Sharpie and draw one line and then draw another line next to it that touches to make the letters thicker, like I'm doing here, okay? Okay, so we are ready to add color. We're going to be using colored pencils and markers. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to use these tools. So here I'm taking the marker and we're drawing patterns. I'm drawing hearts, and I'm going to fill the whole section of the Y right here. And I'm going to also make it look like some of the hearts are kind of like getting hidden behind some of the lines here. Now, if I pick a color of colored pencil that's lighter than this red, we do want to fill it in very well, but we don't necessarily have to be super careful like going around each heart because the red will stand out against the colored pencil. Obviously, if I wanted to use a darker color, I'd have to trace around every heart. But you can see if you pick a lighter color that's lighter than that bold marker that you picked, you can kind of just fill in your color with your colored pencil. Again, we're going to go back with drawing our pattern with our marker, and I'm going to color in between the pink because this is a very simple pattern, so there's no need to kind of go over where the pink is. On these next couple, you can see that I'm going over them, drew with marker first and then colored over the pattern with a lighter colored pencil because it really doesn't interfere with the dark color of the marker. Same with this blue here. I did a dark blue and I'm going back over it with a lighter blue. No need to kind of go in between and only on the white if you do it lightly enough, but press hard enough to get a nice color. You can see here with this one, I'm doing a zigzag pattern with the marker, but for this particular area, I'm going to only color in on the white. It's a simpler pattern, so there's no need to kind of color over. So I'm only kind of going on the white. I'm outlining the white area and then coloring in the middle. You can see that I'm doing that on the bottom ones here. Now you can see between the P and the N, I have an orange polka dot pattern here. Up until this point, we've used marker for the pattern and then colored pencil for the background, but you can kind of mix it up a little bit and use marker in your pattern like I'm doing here. However, if you're doing that, you're going to have to be very careful. You cannot do a dark color and then color over it with a lighter marker. That will make everything smear and ruin the marker. So if you want to do it this way and use marker for a section or a few sections, you will draw your pattern and then carefully trace around each of the elements in your pattern. Similarly, if you wanted to do this with colored pencil, because let's say you had yellow polka dots, if you did yellow polka dots with your marker, you would have to then trace around each polka dot, whether it was with marker or colored pencil for the background in that area. So if you're using a light color marker for your pattern, even with colored pencils, you'd have to trace around each element. So here I've been very careful. I'm tracing around each of the orange polka dots with my pink marker to create that pattern. So you can do marker background and marker for your pattern, but this is the way that you would want to do this, by tracing around each element. So that's it, friends. We've created our name design using lettering, lines, color, and pattern. We want to fill out the whole paper like I've done here. Hope you have fun.